it change to joy. Now I trust you with the thing that I've protected all my life. My heart. Oh Lord, I give to you my heart. Lord, I give to you my life, once broken in despair. Lord, I give to you my heart. It's yours to repair. Now I trust you with the thing that I've protected all my life. My heart. Oh Lord, we give to you our hearts. Oh yeah, yeah. I give to you my heart. It belongs to you. I give to you my heart. Yeah. Oh yeah.
It was amazing grace, amazing grace, that saved a wretch like me, that saved a wretch like me. It was amazing grace, amazing grace, that saved a wretch like me, that saved someone like me. It was amazing grace, amazing grace. You took away my shame, you bore away the pain.
Let my hands forget their skill, my tongue be silent, cold and still. This bounding heart forget to beat. If I forget your mercy seat, I'll not forget your mercy seat. Everybody sing with me. I'll not forget your mercy seat. I'll not forget your mercy seat. All over the world right now. Sing. I'll not forget your mercy seat. I'll not forget your sacrifice. My voice, please. I'll not forget your sacrifice. Saving grace. Everybody sing it. I'll not forget your saving grace. Pain and tears. I'll not forget your pain and tears. Your endless love. Sing it, everybody. I'll not forget your endless love. Yeah. I will not forget the day you touched my life. Wrote your name in blood. It's everlasting love. Yeah.
It was amazing grace,
step beyond the veil. I take a step beyond my pain. I take a step into the place you've kept for me. Oh, I take a step beyond the veil. I take a step beyond my pain. I take a step into the place you've kept for me. I take a step beyond the veil. I take a step beyond my pain. I take a step into the place you've kept for me. I take a step beyond the veil. I take a step beyond my pain. I take a step into the place you kept for me.
There you go.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Code Breakers Live. Thank you so much for joining us today. I don't know what is happening over there, Lou. I'm hearing things. Okay, thank you. Something happened there. Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. I've got some stuff I want to share today, and I'm just going to check something quickly here before we start. Oh, this is going to be too much for me. Can you look at it, Lou?
Mm-mm.
You can't from my phone here?
No, but I've kind of set it up.
I don't know why it keeps doing that. Okay, so the video I want to play for you today, one of them. We just have to make sure it's going to work. Okay, so let me say hi to everybody first. I've got stuff I want to share with you today. Did I say I was going to talk? I mean, I always talk, but I'm ready to talk about difficult things today. Oh my gosh, an 11-year-old boy is missing in the UK after something with a river? Oh, I missed it. It's gone. Okay. We'll go back and have a look at that. Oh, Dublin, Ireland. Hello, welcome. It is wasn't that beautiful worship? I miss that so much. Luckily, we have lots of it. Welcome from Uganda. Wow, watching from Uganda and Louisiana. We have such a diverse audience. I love that. Why?
I don't know.
I don't know. So, shalom, Wendy Wall. Shalom. Chicago. That's just YouTube. Now let me go over to Rumble. Hi, Strumming. I was thinking about you the other day because I just realized I was like, I haven't heard anything from Strumming, but maybe I was just missing you in the chat. Long Island, New Mexico. Hi, Florida Beach Mom. Oklahoma. Janelle Speaks. Hannah, I know, beautiful voice. Hi, Glenna. Me and Glenna have been hanging out on X all week because it's all to do with my garden. I'm talking about it. House of Destiny chat. Hello, everybody in there. And someone's in Gatlinburg. Someone's in New Jersey. Someone is in Denver. I love it. I love it. Western North Carolina, Appalachian Mountains. Now, is it Appalachian? I always said Appalachian, and then I was told that that was incorrect.
Could be.
I think it is. Appalachian. Appalachian. What is it? New Mexico, Missouri, Australia, El Paso, Texas. I've been there. I've never been to Ireland, but I have been to Scotland. The Eiffel Tower, I don't know. Is it on fire now? I know there was fire around it. And of course, we know what Dad prophesied from France, from Paris, about the rise of the Fourth Reich. We've definitely seen that Fourth Reich in the woke right, who is now known as the woke Reich. So that's, I think, prevalent everywhere. But I think, when my dad was prophesying that, he was very specifically speaking to, well, France, because he was in France, but also he was in the Netherlands a few days before that. And that's when he first saw the Fourth Reich and the union between Russia and Iran. Of course, we know a little bit about that. We're going to go into more of that. Yes, Muslims and Africans burning down France. Basically, in a nutshell, Arizona, it's hot there. Smoky Mountains are just beautiful. And I see someone sent a little sunshine that was bobbing around. That's cute. I didn't even know you could do that. Okay. So here's what's going on, guys. Remember how last year I had the thing about the lion, and I went on about the lions. I wasn't connecting it prophetically to anything. I had seen a lion in my prayer time, and it had a huge impact on me. And it drove me into a time of discovery. I must learn about this. Not to know about lions, but to understand what we are dealing with. I learned a lot about prides of lions and the way they work with territory and how sometimes weird things can happen. Oh, don't worry, guys. I'll get to Dugan. So weird things can happen. And now I'm thinking about Dugan. I shouldn't have looked. Anyway, weird things can happen with lions. So the one thing that I learned was there was a pride of lions in Africa, maybe close to Uganda, my friend over there. And this pride of lions, first of all, when they were filming these lions, they had no male leader. It was all female. And they did not have territory as in an area of land that was theirs. The territory they claimed was a herd of buffalo. And wherever that herd of buffalo went, this pride of lions went. And so what would happen is the pride of lions that's moving with the buffalo is going in and out of the territory of other lions. And so they were very, and I think that pride of lions is still there, although they do have a male now. But they were very aggressive, very cruel, very violent pride of lions. Cruel. I saw some cruel things because I watched hours of footage of these lions. And they had this defect as well in the pride, where one of the main female leaders of the pride, she wasn't the head, but she was one of them, had an oversized eye. One of her eyes was oversized. And if you looked at the pride of lions, every now and then you'd see a lion with an oversized eye. It was just a defect. But she had obviously given birth to cubs, and the cubs inherited this defect. And so they had this eye. So they were very ominous looking. In the middle of the night, your regular lions in their happy little territory, maybe it's some lionesses with some cubs, they're minding their own business. This pride of lions comes through. So a lot of times, especially a smaller pride would move out of the way and just go away until those lions had passed through. Others would fight. That was very interesting to me because it was different to how lions normally are. They have territory, they have land. The male lion's job is to patrol the territory and make sure that it is not impeded upon, and for protection. That's why lionesses are usually the ones that hunt. Now, the lions can hunt too, but the lionesses are the ones that usually hunt. So these are things that I learned along the way. Now, prophetically, I was seeing a lion, and that was connected to things my dad had prophesied about Israel and the United States of America and what God would do with them at the same time. And they had Operation Rising Lion. So in the middle of all of that last year, Midnight Hammer was ours. The Israeli one was Rising Lion. Then we enter the war. Roaring Lion was what the Israelis called it, and Epic Fury is what the Trump administration or our side called the operation, Epic Fury. What did my dad prophesy? February 22nd, 2014, he's prophesying about this, and he says, God says, my fury has ended, and I will restore the fortunes of Zion. Him using those words. Now, Zion wasn't a word Dad used often. I mean, if he's reading the Bible, he's talking about King David, things like that. Normally, though, you didn't hear him use the word Zion. So it was very prophetic that he used the word Zion in that prophecy because of the Zionism that is now become a thing. So, and it wasn't a thing when Dad was prophesying that. You got to remember that too. This is 2014. And then you have fury. My fury has ended, says the Lord. That's what Dad prophesied. I don't need to play you the clip again just for those two things. Many of you remember. If you've never seen that prophecy, you can go on my YouTube channel. Lou will put the link in the description so that you can watch that whole prophecy if you've never seen it. I recommend you do, because so much of it is there. So more recently, this has happened again to me. The lion thing that ended up being a little bit of a prophetic thing last year, this year, I got a very clear message from God in my prayer. I've been praying a lot because I'm dealing with a lot of things that have been revealed with the Dugan thing. And God told me to do something. He said, cultivate your garden. Now, it's late spring now. So now planting things, it's getting a little bit, I'm down to the wire if I'm going to plant anything because it's getting hot. I live in Tennessee. And so I can still plant, but I'm going to run out of time. So I've started my venture to cultivate my garden late in the season because I wasn't going to do anything. I was just going to leave it. There's some weeds, get the gardeners to do something. Because we have gardeners that come once a week through our neighborhood and mow. And, I've never really been too into gardening. I did a few years ago, 15 years ago now, I did grow some beautiful roses when we lived in California. But God was very clear to me that I must do this with my own hands. And so I went and I looked at my front of my house. And last year I had pulled up something on the right side that was just, I didn't like it. And I pulled it up. But that was the extent of it. It was just, that thing's got to go. I don't know what I'm going to put there. So I was looking at that and I was thinking, hydrangeas would be pretty. Glenna knows. We've been talking about hydrangeas for days. So whatever, I'm looking at the garden thinking, okay, this is what I made a plan. So I started looking into different plants. Ground cover is a wonderful thing I've discovered. And it helps with weeds because that was the biggest problem. Is that as we went into spring, there were so many weeds. I'd never had that many weeds in front of our house before. It was completely out of control. So God tells me I must deal with this myself. And so I went out, I bought some weed killer. I don't know anything about gardening. I go out and I get some weed killer and I sprayed it just wherever there were weeds. I just went everywhere. I bought another bottle of it. I went all around the back of the house. Now I'm seeing the weeds. Now it's like, I didn't even realize these things were here. They're everywhere. So I'm spraying and I'm pulling up weeds. So then my daughter is there with her friend and my sister Shushu, who's the same age as my daughter. They're all having sleepovers. It's summer now. They're excited. So my husband says to them, go help mom. And so the little girls got out there with me, and I waited a day or two for the weed killer, and all those weeds went shrivelly. And we went out there with hose, and we hoed up in the heat. It was me and the 3 little girls. Once I'd hoed everything up, then I went in on my hands and knees, and I could see, okay, that's a big weed root there. So I'm spraying those up more, letting that weight. And I started to pull the weeds up from the root. And when I pulled the weeds, at one point, it was actually quite shocking. I went to the middle, and it was this huge root, and I pull it up like this. And there's one going this way, one going this way, one going this way, in every direction. And then I would follow the line to pull up the root, and there was that other weed. And it was so far away from this weed, you wouldn't think they were connected, but they were underneath. And I started to realize the situation that we are looking at right now in America. Trump is going to take out the deep state. That's what we've heard this whole time. He's taking out the deep state. He's challenging. That's everything about him is a challenge to the system that is no longer working. A lot of corruption. We saw what happened with Doge. We saw what happened with everything. How much has come up. But I felt God directing me towards what you can see, those weeds growing. And you think, shh, I'm just going to spray these weeds. I'm going to pull them up and I'm done. No. There is a system underneath that doesn't appear to be connected. Just like when I pulled that root up and I thought, this is this weed here, this big weed here. This is a problem, and I'm pulling it up. And then I'm following the line, and all the way on the other side of the bed is another weed connected to that weed. And God helped me to realize that, we've been this whole time weeding, hoeing it up. We saw the problem. We're fixing the problem. But there are underneath, hidden away, connections from one weed that doesn't seem to be connected to another weed. But as you pull it up, you dig under the ground, you get your hands dirty, you're sweating out there, the bugs are biting you. It's not pleasant. But when you pull that up, you see the connection. You start to really get in there. And when I see things that are happening and the things that I am now experiencing, I am beginning to understand, I don't want to say, I could say the depth of this issue that we're dealing with. And as we are approaching the midterms, this is very important, midterms. These midterms are very important because if we lose the House, the Senate, or both, Trump will not be able to complete the tasks that he needs to be able to complete because he'll be blocked and he'll be stopped. It's hard enough as it is now. Can you imagine? I mean, look at how Congress has been in passing things. Look at what happened with people like Rand Paul and Thomas Massey and Marjorie Taylor Greene and Lauren Boebert and Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens and Alex Jones. And I could just keep naming names, couldn't I? It'd probably be wise if I don't keep naming names. But I will say this has become apparent only recently, only in the past year or so, I suppose. Before, we saw weeds and we were thinking, this is this weed over here, there's a weed over there, they're not connected. But hang on, underneath, they are. We just couldn't see it. And that brings me to what you guys were bringing up in the chat there. I see some of you bringing up Candace going to Russia. I know. I've been watching. I always watch Russia. The reason is because not some leftist, Ukraine stuff, but because of what my dad prophesied and because of what God showed me. So my opinion is not influenced by someone I know, something I read, a group I'm a part of, someone whose podcast I watch. I have come to these conclusions because the one thing that I know, and I know for you watching, maybe it's whoever you're watching, maybe you've never even watched before, so you don't even know what I'm talking about. But for me, I know because it was my dad. I know what was prophesied. I know what was prophesied in enormous warning about Putin. And that's something I never kept quiet about. It doesn't matter where I have been. It doesn't matter if I was on the Reawaken America tour or if I was speaking at a church. I always made sure to warn people about Putin. Something that greatly disturbed me when I started doing the Reawaken America tour was that there were rumblings and rumors amongst the people that Putin was secretly working with Trump to take down the deep state. And at the time, I was very conflicted about that. Now, I didn't speak publicly a lot about it, but I spoke about what Putin prophesied. But I was conflicted because I knew what was in those prophecies. And that's why I started to just show them, because I want to get in arguments with people. I don't know anything. I don't have any information to base the opinion off of. I have prophecies from my dad. And what I know is he prophesied my whole life. I could rely on that. No matter how things looked in a moment, I could rely on that because I knew my dad. I traveled with him. I lived with him. I loved him. And he raised me. And so that is something that I cannot share with you as far as the knowing. But I know that was bad. This is a deception. I don't care if Putin loved a puppy. And we saw a video of Putin cuddling a puppy. You know what? Lots of lunatics love puppies. Yes. Who doesn't love a puppy? Okay. And also, another thing that was very difficult to deal with was the fact that so many on the right and on the conservative side had been led to believe a giant deception that Putin, some people started to say it's not the real Putin. Let me promise you something. It is the real Putin. It is the real Putin. I saw, Vali, I don't know if you remember this. They were saying it's a different Putin.
Hmm. Yes, I do.
And the way they said was, well, he's got the bags under his eyes. I talked to you about this before, but this is a good example for me. He looks different a little bit. He had the bags under his eyes. Now the bags are gone. You know why? Because he got Botox and filler in his cheeks. That's the only, and gained a bit of weight because he got older. That's the only difference. That is the real Putin. And if you're going to fight me on it, I don't see anybody actually fighting me on it anymore. Used to the chat would be full, not so much anymore. But mark my words today. That is the real Putin. That is the Putin my dad prophesied about. The problem was we had not come to the time of fulfillment yet. A big mistake, and I have made this mistake again and again, is to
Rush.
definitely rush, but also to depend on the perspective of the moment when dealing with something prophetic. And that is not confined to whatever moment we're in right now. Prophecy doesn't work that way. And I've had to learn from doing it like this. That's not something you can learn by simply watching. It's a doing, learning thing. It was for me anyway. And I'm about to show you something so that you can understand the prophetic. Many of you have seen this before. I'm not going to play a whole long bit of it. but what was prophesied over me, because not because it's about me, but because what was prophesied over me is also for you today. Because right now, everything Dad prophesied about Iran is coming to pass. It isn't all fulfilled yet. I'm not jumping the gun on trying to figure out how that's going to play out. But I know it was prophesied. All the way from 1993, he was prophesying about the beast of the East.
Mhm.
And he prophesied that Russia would join hands with Iran. Russia had not done that when my dad prophesied it. It was an unusual thing for him to say. But now it's not so unusual anymore. And anybody who has been following Dugan and what's going on with him, you're going to understand a lot more about what I'm talking about right now than maybe someone who hasn't. Maybe some of you are saying, who is Dugan? Well, in early 2022, beginning of the year, I don't remember exactly. I was scrolling through social media. You guys know the story. But for those who don't, I was scrolling through social media or somewhere. It may not even have been social media, but I read the name Alexander Dugin. And it was like a hammer in my head. Boom. Alexander Dugin is Putin's Rasputin. Came out of my mouth. I don't even know what I'm saying. But I recognize I'm in a prophetic moment. And I didn't like it. And I knew somehow this guy must be connected to Putin. I didn't know anything about him. And I did warn many people, including on this show. Lou has actually made a video of every time I talked about Dugan. And we have that video.
I
somewhere
remember the
else.
first time you actually said it.
You do?
Yes. And I was just like, okay. And I listened. And then it just stuck in my head. Every time I hear his name, I was like, Alexander Dugin is
Putin's
Putin's
Rasputin.
Rasputin. And then now we're seeing things.
Well, I mean, who was Rasputin? Rasputin was sort of a prophetic character who was a close advisor to the czars of Russia. Remember Dad saying Putin, who claims himself as a czar.
Should I jump on?
You should.
Okay.
Putin, who claims himself as a czar. That was an interesting thing for him to say too, because hello, Lou. Now you guys. Well, I've been seeing him the whole time, but now you guys can see him. So we found ourselves in a difficult position now because we have this woke right, the woke Reich, and they are, as we've seen just this weekend, Candace Owens, anti-Israel. You can put the Erica Kirk stuff actually to the side. We're beginning to see that Candace is, for a long time now, pretty connected to Russia. I don't have the facts to share with you, but you can go look. I mean, I posted some stuff I could show you on my X page. But I'm dealing with this in a more broad way because, look, whether you like it or not, she's in Russia right now. And she's speaking at the St. Petersburg International Economic Forum.
Put
Now,
lipstick
did
on
we
a
not
pig. It's still a
spend
pig.
how many years going on about the World Economic Forum? I mean, we've covered them, the globalists. And as we should have, it was not wrong. They're destroying the West.
Mhm.
Absolutely destroying the West. It was not wrong to highlight that and talk about that. But since Trump has come to office, he's pulled the United States of America out of the World Economic Forum. He's pulled funding from the UN, which Dad prophesied that God said he would abolish it. A stench to God's nostrils, the UN. I just read a headline this morning that said the UN is by August going to be out of money.
They're struggling.
So the Western globalists have been reined in. Klaus Schwab is no longer the head of the World Economic Forum. He left in disgrace. And so the Western globalists have been dealt with. However, there's another group of globalists in the East: Russia, China, Iran, and neighboring Islamic nations. You got a war in Ukraine. What happened? What happened in Maidan? My dad went straight to Ukraine, lifted up his hands in the middle of that war zone. I mean, it was still going on. And he put his boots on the ground and he raised his hands up and he started to pray. And his prophecies for Ukraine were, well, I think the main one that we should cover, that sort of says it all, is out of the ashes will come beauty, and out of the sadness will come joy. And so here's that situation going on. But the same people who have the anti-Semite bug in their brain and blame the Jews for everything's the Jews, everything is the Jews. It's all the Jews. Nobody else can do anything. Only the Jews. It's insanity, actually, the level that's gone to. So you have that issue that's prominent in the middle of it. And that is counter to what my dad was prophesying. Israel is forever. Bibi Netanyahu. He spoke directly to Bibi Netanyahu. He said, what you're doing with Iran, what you're planning to do with Iran, do it, but do it quickly. What do we need to happen with this war? It needs to go fast. So Dad was accurately pinpointing moments, important things. He had prophesied a lot about Putin. And then God tells me in 2022, out of nowhere, I'm minding my own business. So I wasn't praying. I wasn't seeking God's voice. He literally, boom. That's the problem there. In 2022, it didn't make any sense. I'm running around telling people. Nobody even knows who Alexander Dugin is. And then those who do, they're just like, okay, well, whatever. What does this mean? Because it was prophetic. So it didn't mean anything in 2022, but I didn't even recognize that. I myself. And Lou, you were there through all of this with me, as well as my husband, John, and my sister, Jacqueline. So this is something that really, really...
We also got to pay attention to what your dad said when he said, you say Russia's your friend. They are not your friend.
Very clear.
And the
We can
thing is
actually
like
play
I
that.
read comments, especially when we put up any promos or any short clips about Russia, or we share a Russia prophecy. Like if I go through the comments on the videos, people are saying, "Oh, well, they're so kind to the Christians, and they so this." Well, Egypt,
No, that messaging is by design.
it is.
They
But
are
here's the thing.
masters of propaganda.
Egypt was also very nice to the Jews in the beginning before they became slaves. You know, I mean, people can be nice now, but it's just a cover up. Like you're saying, it's what's underneath. They're using it as a cover up.
And
So-
that's the BRICS nations. You guys know I've been going on about the BRICS nations for years because I saw the countries and I knew what Dad prophesied. I don't have inside information. I don't have connections.
Well, what I've been thinking about sitting here is I'll go straight back to Moses. You know, the people of Israel trapped in Egypt. How long did they wait before the deliverer came? I mean, they were told that he was coming, and they were in slavery for a very long time. And then Moses came, and then they end up in the wilderness for another 40 years. And then they get to the land of the giants. So when prophecy is going to happen, we got to wait and be patient.
Yes.
For
Listen,
it to
future.
cultivate
Let me
for
just
the
say one
right
thing here. But
time.
Future 13. I do understand that Putin is not Russia. We are not speaking. And my dad was even very clear in the prophecies.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not speaking about the Russian people. I'm talking about the leadership. Yes, you are absolutely correct. Putin is not Russia. I am not speaking about the Russian people. We're speaking about leadership only.
Yeah, I also got to
Um,
understand is when you talk about a country, you're talking about leadership. Anytime when a prophetic word comes out about a country, you're never talking about people. You're talking about the people in charge.
You're not talking about the people who have no control.
No,
of
you're
the
talking about,
situation.
because the thing is, there's a lot of people involved. It's not just Putin. There's a network of people. So when you're talking about a network of people, you name the country. It's like when there's a spirit that's attached to a country, a heaviness. and you come against that spirit, it's a spirit that's over the country. It's not just the person or the individual.
And the thing is, our desire is not for any destruction or pain to come to the Russian people.
No.
We want deliverance and freedom for them.
Yeah.
Um,
Everyone.
and so I'm glad you said that, though, Future 13, because that was a good point. There are good and bad people in America. There's some really bad people in America. There's some really bad people in Israel.
Yeah.
But there's really bad people in every country all over the world. You cannot gauge by that.
Yeah.
I mean, unless it's like the Chechens hacking everybody up. You know, maybe you could make an exception there. I don't know how things are going in the Chechens.
Even then, that's not all.
No, it isn't.
No.
And the thing is that oftentimes in those kind of situations, the citizens, just like what we're seeing in Iran right now, need help.
Yeah.
They're imprisoned. These are communist countries. They don't get to vote. And
What-
even if they're pretending, they're not really, you know, and it's like we saw a bit of that here in America, but not like that.
Anna Banana says Putin's spiderweb. And remember when you were
Yes.
telling me this last night and you were talking about the roots to me, and I said it's like a spider web too.
The roots, and this
The
is
roots.
exactly the point. The roots, the spider web. My dad was seeing the spider web. Why don't we play that? It's at the very beginning of the video.
Okay.
If you start that video right from the beginning.
All right. Let's go.
Had a dream about Putin. While you're giving, just listen to this. I saw a spider's web, and the next morning when I went to pray, I'm very adverse to spider webs, because I got bitten once on the nose and I had to have surgery. It was so bad. So I always look out when I go to my garden. In fact, I have a stick and I just hit it before me. And the next day after the dream, I hit down a massive spider that was in a spider web on my pathway. And I couldn't see it, because you know what it's, have you ever seen people that walk into spider webs but they're further away and they're going like this and you can't see the spider web and you think, what's the guy doing? It's very funny. But I had this dream, and the next day I almost walked into this massive spider web on my way to prayer. And it was basically this. I saw the spider, I saw the web, and God spoke about Putin. And this is what came out of it. Spiders feed and fatten themselves on flies. That's how they operate. Let me give you a little lesson in case you don't know, because the Lord sat me down and I said, what does this mean? He said, a spider feeds and fattens itself on flies and other little things. And the spider's web comes from the creature's insides. So it creates the web from whatever is inside the spider. The bee gathers wax from flowers. The spider sucks no flowers. Okay? Yet the spider is able to spin out its material to any length. Just think about that. But there's one thing the Spirit said to me. A spider's web is very frail. But it is cautiously wrought. These were the words I heard him say. I wrote it down. But it is not enduringly manufactured. Now God can only say it like that. I wrote it down as I heard it. It is curiously wrought, the spider's web, but not enduringly manufactured. So I was saying, okay, but what's that all about? He said, the spider's web is no match for a servant's broom. And I know that there are literally tens of thousands of you that are actually getting what I'm saying. It's not going to take a mighty army to bring him down. It's not going to take weapons of warfare to bring him down. For God said to me, his web is no match for a servant's broom. Someone that is deemed as nobody. But it shall take a servant to bring and break the spider's web. And it will come down with not much effort.
Having found
That was really good.
You know what's funny is that before we started, Jacqueline was actually showing me a picture of a spider, and then J Dog comments on YouTube as before we even started the count. He's like, "I hate spiders." And we didn't plan.
J-Dog, how
we-
prophetic of
we
you.
didn't even plan to play this part of the prophecy.
So strange.
It was very weird.
I saw a picture of an archaeological spider and it was the size of a human. And I was saying that if I saw one of those, I would just
A spider the size of a human. People can't hear you, so I'm making sure they know what you're saying.
And voluntarily leave my body. Okay. But that's what that whole thing started.
I think Carlos on YouTube says, "Is Putin the spider?" No. What he's saying is he's making an analogy as to the way in which they have worked. And now that we're standing in 2026, we can look at that and say, well, this is a pretty intricately spun web.
Mhm.
And what did he say about it? It goes to great lengths.
And it's not manufactured.
Right. And it's not manufactured. So this is where, and this is why I'm saying this to you, and it's not just me, it's Lou, it's Jacqueline. We've understood this entire time. But we have been, with all different kinds of people who didn't think that, or it didn't appear. And I kept thinking, I know Dad prophesied this, but it's obviously not yet. But I still felt a responsibility to share when I was hearing, oh, no, Putin's helping Trump take down the deep state. Even if Putin was at that time, which I don't think he was, but even if he was, that's not what's going on now. They are working really hard to make sure that we lose in the midterms. This campaign began after Trump met with Putin in Alaska at the beginning of his second term. So 2025, when he met with Putin in Alaska, up until that point, Dugin was very supportive of Trump. There was no anti-Israel stuff going on, except for on the left. And then whatever happened, and I don't know what happened in that meeting. I just noticed there was that meeting. Look at Dugin's timeline, because I follow him. And he flipped on Trump. I must actually get some screenshots of it. I must go scroll back and get some screenshots. I can actually show you. Putin flips. And then all these other podcasters. And this is something I wanted to share with you guys today too.
Well, Trump leaves China, and who goes next straight after Trump leaves? Putin.
Pootie
I
Poo.
mean,
Pootie
it's-
Poo and his pew-pews. You know who did know? Glenn Beck knew.
Yeah.
Glenn was warning. So, yes, I know that spiders do some good work, but it's not about, it's about the analogy. It's an analogy he's making about what he was seeing about Putin and what he was doing. Weaving webs and webs and webs of lies and deception that many on the conservative side were lured in and now are finding themselves all wrapped up in that web. But what is hopeful here, what was promised in that prophecy, he said, the spider's web is no match for a servant's broom.
Mhm.
And that's like a little puzzle, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a little code breaking, isn't it? Because it's not specific, but it's enough. And it's enough for us to know, what did he say? It's not going to take a lot. Thank you, Dale B. on YouTube. Thank you so much. It's not going to take a lot. In other words, we're not going to be going to war with Russia. I think that's what that means.
Mm.
I mean, maybe. It might not mean that. I actually don't know. But I know enough to be able to come to you all today with this because it's heavy on my heart. And now I've had this experience with the garden, and it feels the same as the lion. I know what God said to me, cultivate your garden. I went out there, I'm doing the hard stuff, I'm pulling the weeds out, and I'm realizing and having these sort of epiphanies as I'm doing it. Okay, so what happened with Dugan's daughter is she wasn't killed in front of his house. I remember this, Florida Beach Mom. Dugan was at a speaking event, and his daughter was also there, and he was supposed to get into his car to drive home, and his daughter instead borrowed the car, and the car blew up and killed his daughter. And I did feel very bad for him because, no matter what, these people are human beings with souls, and they're in deception.
Weren't they trying to go for him and then they got her?
Yes, no, they were supposed to. That's what I was saying. It's meant
Yeah.
to be for him. They weren't trying to kill her, and it was a terrible thing. I mean, he stood there and watched. But that's not why he's doing this, because he's been doing this for a long time, and I know that because of the book he wrote in 2019.
Mm.
What was the name of that book? The Great
Great
Reset
Reset?
versus the Great Awakening? Huh. Great Reset versus the Great Awakening? I think that was, I'm gonna take too much for me to look it up. So, the question now is how we view the situation. So now I want to shift over to what was prophesied over me, because it pertains to you. If it was just about me, I wouldn't be playing it right now. This isn't actually about me. I'm wanting you to watch this because of what was. So we're going to go, let's not do Richard Gray. Let's do Teal.
Where do you want me to start from?
Go to 20 minutes. I wasn't sure if I wanted to start at 20 or 23.
Okay.
But if you go to 20 minutes, we'll see where we are there.
To cause the individual that he has chosen to think
This
as
is good.
God would think. Now, we're not talking about the word says this and the
Yes,
word
yes, yes.
says that, and you're this and you're that and you're the other, like we hear some. And in consideration and respect, I do thank God that I am the righteousness of God in Christ, and I'm not a sinner anymore, and I'm a king's kid, and I'm what else am I supposed to be?
Pause that
Yeah,
for a
right.
second.
But in reality, I mean,
I didn't tell people what they were watching. Well, everyone's like, what are we watching? Okay, so in 2000, I'm sorry, you guys. I'm so deep in thought, I forgot. So, in 2019, it's the very beginning. This is January, I think, or February of 2019. Roger Teal prophesied over my dad. He's a prophet. Prophesied over my dad when he was very young. And everything he prophesied was absolutely accurate. I had never met him. I knew of him, but I had never met him. And after my dad died, long story short, he came to our studio in Los Angeles where we were at the time. We're not in Los Angeles anymore, but we were there then. And I'm thinking, we're going to do a nice interview with Roger Teal, who prophesied over my dad. I just, let's do an interview. How interesting. This is another prophet. Very accurate. We know, we love Roger. So he came and he prophesied over me, which I didn't expect to happen. And over the years, this prophecy has carried me through some difficult times you people don't even know about. When I was doing all the things I was doing over the years, I went on the Reawaken America tour, and I'm running around, 2 terms. That was my thing. I've got to make sure everybody knows there's those 2 terms. But this prophecy kept coming back to me because of what he says. Okay, so just so you know, this is the prophet Roger Teal. He's Scottish. If you didn't know, if you can't tell by his accent. And this is him speaking to me, and then he's about to start prophesying.
And
over me.
Prophet Roger Teal, he's kind of like an old school prophet.
Yes, very.
He's
old
like the
school.
prophet that hides in the caves kind of prophet.
Yes.
And when he starts to prophesy, I mean, it's like the fear
He does
of
not have a
God.
show.
The fear of God, actually, it's your spirit that gets activated. It's not fear as in your natural.
No.
Your spirit gets activated. And the thing about with him is that when he starts prophesying, he actually becomes Old English, thous and these, and how the Bible was.
It's beautiful.
It's
his
beautiful how he
presentation.
does it, but it's very to your face. I mean, we've known Roger Teal for a very long time.
A lot
and
of you have
he's-
seen this.
yeah.
A lot of you have seen this prophecy, but a lot of you haven't. And you know what? There's nothing wrong with going back and looking again, because again, it's not really about me. This is about us, all of us right now. So play.
And you are you.
Yes.
But in that which we are speaking of right now, those attributes are there and can now begin to function by virtue of the fact that Kim Clement is not here. He is not here. There are those that have sought at times, perhaps not with your father, but those that were great that God used to be symbolized and glorified and this kind of thing. No.
It takes 90 seconds
Why?
for this NASA-engineered AC
You
cool
know,
down your
when I
room.
went
It's
to
smaller
turn
than a
the-
toaster, cools any
check to
room
make
in
sure there
90
weren't any ads
seconds,
on it, it
and
said it's
uses
not
just
even
a
allowed on it.
fraction of the energy of a regular AC.
I don't know why. Sorry about that, you guys.
Here
Oh,
we are speaking of right now.
stop it, devil.
Those attributes are there and can now begin to function by virtue of the fact that Kim Clement is not here. He is not here. There are those that have sought at times, perhaps not with your father, but those that were great that God used to be symbolized and glorified and this kind of thing. No. Your father has seen the glory and is now part of it.
I know.
And we're not here to glorify him,
Right.
for he was a man that was favored. For when God chooses a man, he gets favor. But the purpose of God is not restricted to human flesh or to male or female.
Yeah.
And so who is this girl? Oh, it's Kim Clement's daughter. Oh, really? Yeah, really. Don't worry about it. Don't seek a name, you're not, of course.
Right.
You already got one. Their reflections of you may be drawn from their carnal minds, for there are so many with a carnal mind.
Yes.
I pray and shall do for you that they will see in you that which is of the Spirit, that will cause them to know, even as the women of old, of Scripture that we read of. We were coming along in the car, and my dear friend Neville MacDonald was talking about a particular building somewhere in LA where there were some old black and white photographs. And it was remarked that they were of Amy Semple McPherson,
Yeah.
the great woman of God. Think of that woman, how she was used to affect the lives of thousands. I have affected the lives of maybe not thousands, well, I don't know, I should think thousands, possibly, but now. What is the effect that you will have on those that you have yet to meet? What is the effect of those that will encounter the word that they're so longing to hear? To those that don't even maybe know your name, I see many in grave clothes. I see many in prisons that are bound. I see multitudes with their eyes blinded. So where do you get that from? Well, it's in Isaiah, and it was spoken of Christ. The Spirit of the Lord is upon me because he anointed me. Would that anointing be on my life? Yes, I'll grasp it. Would it be on yours? Sure. The Spirit of the Lord is upon me because he hath anointed me to preach deliverance to the captives, the recovering of sight to the blind, to open the prisons to them that are bound,
That's right.
to preach the acceptable year of the Lord.
Yes.
So to whom are you sent? To those. And as you go with this, the world will know your name and who you are and what you do, but most of all, who you represent.
As a servant.
I was so nervous. You guys just forget about anything I say. I was so nervous.
Because that's what you are if you're a prophet, or
I'm a
if you're
servant.
called, you're a servant.
So what are you?
A servant.
A servant? So am I. What else?
I don't know.
You don't know? Are you listening to me? The Spirit of the Lord is on you. You've been anointed. You don't have your dad's mantle. You have the mantle that the Lord has placed on your life. He's chosen you to continue the word that came through this ministry. This ministry has affected the world. You're a voice. Your tongue will be loosed. Your spirit will come from within. It's a water that wells up and comes forth. The revelation knowledge will come.
Yes.
Surely as the Lord has spoken to thee this day, will he bring thee to a place to twist thine arm, to force thee to be in the place that he would desire thee to be? For yea, saith the Lord, that which I purposed in thee was before thou wast formed.
Yes.
For surely, saith the Lord, thou hast heard the word through thy father, but the words that come through thy lips shall be words of judgment. For you will not speak peaceably. You will not give them a charm. You will not be there and dance and sing. For the words that come forth from thy mouth shall come right as an axe that lays itself at the root of the tree. For the true word pierces even to the dividing asunder of the soul and the spirit. Is that which thou wouldst desire? It is my desire for thee. Therefore thou shalt separate thyself for a while, for I have a purpose regarding this which you are endeavoring to do. You are in a rush, and I will not rush you. I will stop you.
Yes.
I will shut you down. I will stop you right now. There are those that have come in to grab. There are those that have come in to take. I will bring them out. Saith the Lord, wait, 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 wait. And as you wait, you will know.
Yes. Now I understand.
Where are we going now? Is that it?
That's it.
That's it. God bless you.
Wow.
Tumble and save insurance.
Oh, so definitely no singing and dancing happening. My dad was such a talented musician, but I'm not. I mean, I can play the piano a little bit. I cannot sing. So that wasn't a surprise when he said that. But the reason he twisted my arm is because literally that is what God's had to do with me with a lot of this. I never wanted to be on camera. I never wanted to. I have sought out none of this. It is. My dad died, and I had to share these prophecies with everybody, and I have just gone for years. And whatever doors open, I went through them. And you know what? God made sure that I was where I needed to be every step of the way. He made sure that I saw behind the scenes the things that I needed to see, that in this moment will help not only me, but all of you. And what really was compelling to me in that word is when he was quoting Isaiah, and he said, he's seeing many who, and he's not only quoting Isaiah, but he's prophesying, many who are blind, many who are in prisons that are bound. And if you look where we are now, many are blinded. Think about when my dad prophesied about the scales removed from eyes. It wasn't suddenly you're going to see the truth. It was scales, layer after layer after layer. And probably because we couldn't have been able to handle seeing it all at once.
Yeah.
So God has dealt gently with us and made sure that we can see things slowly.
But you also had that
Scales.
vision too when you were at the hospital with your dad about the mantles falling
The mantle's falling.
when you were walking through the rose garden. And
I was just thinking about that last night.
And he actually said in there, he says, you don't have your father's mantle. God has placed a mantle upon you. And I think that's what, and he didn't know that that's what you saw. And I think that's what God was showing you, is that it's not your father's mantle, it's God's mantle. And it fell from heaven, the mantles that you saw.
Yeah, it was like raining. It was in the
Yes.
moment my dad was dying. A lot happened in that moment. But it was just the blue mantles.
Mm-hmm.
And those of you who remember the blue mantles, it was a scarf he used to wear that he had made from the garden. And I'm gardening now.
And the funny thing is, your dad, when he was talking about the spiders, and he was talking about when you walk into the spider web, it hits you and you're doing this. But that happens when you walk into a garden and it's all attached to the plants and everything like that. Everything's connecting. I mean, I'm just like, I'm waiting for the next thing to come out, because I mean, the lion thing, we had to wait a little bit, and look what happened.
I
Now
have no idea what it
now I'm
means,
waiting
Lou.
what's going to happen now with the
What
garden,
does
with
it
the
mean,
spiders.
cultivate your garden? I'm telling you, it's the same thing that I felt with the lion. And remember how I was obsessively watching lions, learning about lions. I've been doing that for the last 3 weeks with gardening, which I've never been a gardener. Like I grew those roses in Newbury Park 15 years ago, but that's the extent of my gardening ability. And so in order to just make the front of my house look nice again, I have had to learn, what can I plant there? What can I plant to prevent the weeds from coming back? One of the things is ground covers. I never even knew what a ground cover was. Ground cover is really cool. Irish moss, creeping thyme, and the history of creeping thyme. A lot of you probably already know this. I didn't know. But the ancient Romans used to plant creeping thyme between stepping stones and everything. And the thing is, if you step on it, there's an aroma. There's also a medicinal quality to it. So I'm learning all this stuff about these different plants that I just completely I didn't care about any of them except for the roses. But now it's like, wow, like this, there's all these plants, and I'm like, I want to grow hydrangeas. Where can I put the hydrangeas? I can't put them in the front. I can't put anything in the front because it's afternoon sun. But maybe lilacs. But I never had ventured into this realm before.
Yeah.
And suddenly I've, in the last few weeks, found myself there.
Well, it's very interesting, because a lot of things in the important happens in a garden in the Bible. You have the Garden of Eden, where God breathed into and created man. He breathed his life into us. That is where they ate from the tree of knowledge of good and evil, where everything that's happening now started then, right? And then you have Jesus, before he gets crucified, is in the garden praying.
Gethsemane.
And he says, take this cup from me, Lord, but let your will be done. And he prayed so much that his sweat was as blood. And they say that can happen when your body is under so much stress that your body can actually sweat blood. And it just shows the amount of heaviness that was on him. And I think it's kind of like what you are seeing right now. There are different stages of the garden. You have the Garden of Eden. You have the Garden of Gethsemane, where now it's the pressure. There's all this. It's like, God, I want you to take this from, but no, we need to just do what is your will. Let your will be done. And then from the tree where he was crucified, he gets put into the garden, into the tomb. And what happens in the tomb? He goes down to hell and he takes the keys of death, hell, and the grave
Yes.
in 3 days. And when he comes out, what does Mary think? She says he's a gardener. When she sees him after he rose from the dead. And then everything, so here's, it's so beautiful. So we're going, let's see this as a picture as we're going through the stages of the garden. We've seen the creation of God. We've seen the beauty of God in Eden. Now we got to see the Gethsemane garden where
The
the
message
pressure
too,
is.
Bali, was cultivate your garden.
Yeah.
I must do it myself. I can't call the gardeners to do it.
Well, that's the thing. Jesus had to do it himself.
Yes, that's a great point. Now, Lou, I've actually sent you a text message
Oh, you did?
with
I'm
a
on
picture
silent.
because I wanted to just, before we're running out of time, and I want to make sure I tell everybody about John's new painting.
I've got that picture already.
Jacqueline, do you think you could come over here? Lou, can you take yourself off the screen so we can have a full screen over here by
Sure.
me? Jacqueline, will you get the painting? Lou will show you the picture as well, but I want you to see it. He's been through a lot. His printer, you guys remember, and I need you to step back so people can see it really well. There's not much space to step back. But as you can see, go over this way a little. No, wrong way. This way, this way.
Towards Dane.
Yeah, sorry, that was my bad. If you can see it, hold it up. Look how beautiful that is. It's also, this is signed. So he has sold 25 of these. He's numbering the first 100. He usually does that. So for those of you who haven't gotten this yet, Lou, can you put the picture up just so they can see it properly? I just wanted you to see it. Also because the paper is canvas. So it's like a canvas paper. It's not just regular paper. Now, we did experiment with some different papers in the beginning. And he has had to actually now purchase a new printer. But this is the new, you can take that away now, Jack. Thank you. This is the new one. And he has done this as a special painting for the 250th anniversary of America, America's 250th. And so, he really wanted to do something to honor that. And so he's only painting Jesus. So he wrapped him in the American flag, which I just think is so beautiful. I was so excited about this one. So anybody, if you have not got one yet, you can only get it by emailing my husband. You cannot order it through the ministry. Nobody at the ministry is going to even know what's going on if you call. So your contact's going to be John, my husband, John Petrushka at mac.com. That's how you get one. It's name your own price. He really wants to make sure that as many people as want to have this painting can get it. He's putting Jesus everywhere. This is let's see, he did the original Jesus, and then he did the lion for me. You guys remember he did the lion, and then he did the new Jesus. Those are the first two he did. Then he did the new Jesus, the end of last year, which I love that one. And then he did Jesus, the Lion and the Lamb. And that all has those ones. Yeah, I know they do need to go to Trump. I can probably get them to him, maybe through Paula. Yeah. Anyway, there was this one. And now for the 250th anniversary, he really wanted to do one to honor both America and Jesus. And so he's done this one. So again, he's the first 100 are numbered and autographed, and they've just come out so beautifully. His printer broke. Remember, I don't know if you guys remember last year, he finally bought himself his own big printer to print these. It broke and it needed a new printer head that was going to cost almost as much as a new printer. So he got a new printer. And he's going to fix the old printer, so he's going to have two, so that he'll be able to print more. So pray for him that we can figure that part out as well. But we do love these paintings, and we've made some really lovely relationships in the process as well of doing these paintings. because I pray over them. I pray over these paintings before they go out, and the whole family gets involved in packing them because we're just doing it at home. And it's just been such a cool thing. So anybody who wants to get any of those, if you haven't already, email johnpetrushka@mac.com. It's the only way to get one. And also, I do see some comments here that I wanted to, but everything's going so fast. Thank you, Donna, for sharing. Hearing your testimony triggered something, and I just cried and prayed. You know, I keep crying over it too. I watched it again last night for the first time in a long time, and I had really been struggling a while back. Scott LeBeo, yeah, he's an awesome artist. He does the American flags. But yeah, you know, I had really been struggling along, you know, over the years, different things, and I'll go back to that prophecy. And it's so true about twisting my arm, because I really never imagined that I would be in ministry in any way, that I would be on a camera talking to people. None of this was ever a part of what I thought would be my life. That was what my dad did, and I supported Dad, but he didn't need me. He had his team. He had his, you know, I was his kid, and he needed me for some things. You know, like he had me write for him. I helped him write his book, but that was stuff we were doing together as a dad and a daughter, and I loved doing that with him, because I knew as soon as I could understand what was going on around me that there was something really special about my dad, and that it was 100% true and real. And I was, you know, we went through so much for so many years. You know, it's not an easy thing. He would have had a whole much easier of a life if he'd just been a pastor. But his thing was, he wasn't called to be a pastor. And that's also really important, is to know what you're not. I posted that the other day and got so many responses on my X page from posting that. But it's really important to know what you're not, because otherwise you're going to waste your time trying to be like someone else, trying to do things like someone else, when God has created you unique to do something specifically. Roger was saying it in the thing. I am me, you are you.
Yeah.
But God has created you unique to do something very specific. And he was telling me in that moment what I was going to have to do, which isn't easy. That God would actually have to twist my arm. And isn't that the truth? And so I also wanted you guys to be able to sort of see the example of prophecy. Okay. That was 2019. A lot has happened since 2019. And so when you reflect on the prophecy, it's not just about predicting things. It's about helping you understand what's actually going on. And what I have come to understand is that there's a lot more going on underneath than we realized. And there's a lot more things when you pull that root up, connected to other things. So you see the manifestation over here and the manifestation over here. There's a weed there, here's a weed there. And you think they're not connected. Well, it's turning out they are. And Candace Owens is a great example this week, because she's just gone to Russia. Why? She's gone to speak at the International Economic Forum. So the World Economic Forum, Trump got that under control. Now we have the International Economic Forum in St. Petersburg, Russia. Who's the head of this thing? Dugin. Who did God tell me? In 2022, I don't know who the guy is. So you have to understand, for me, it's very clear. Because I know, I didn't know, nobody told me Dugin. No person told me Dugin. God told me Dugin. And there I am telling everybody, just completely ignorant. Everywhere
I
I
didn't
go.
know who Dugan was until you said to me, and I'm like, well, who's Dugan? I knew about
So
Rasputin.
everybody
I knew who
I was
Rasputin
around-
was. I think everybody knew Rasputin. But Dugan, I was like, well, who's Dugan?
Well, it turns out, some Bald Eagle's asking, she was invited, who and why. I don't know the details, but what I do know is that there's more and more evidence popping up. These are the weeds popping up. That a lot of these people that are on the woke right or the woke Reich, who have just been turned on Trump, turned on MAGA, hate the Jews and blame them for everything, obsessed with poor Eric Kirk, all that, they're actually connected. How? By Dugin. And Dugin is known as Putin's brain or his advisor. Dugan's books are taught in school to soldiers who are joining the military. Like they have to read Dugan. That's one of the things. But we didn't ever think Tucker, Alex,
No.
Candace, these people would have
We actually
anything to do
listened
with
to them in the
Dugan.
beginning. We enjoyed them.
No. Well, because not everybody started out in deception. Many have been pulled into deception.
Yes.
And the other thing is that it's not necessarily that certain people are lying on purpose. They're being lied to. They've been deceived. And the people that they go to, they've been deceived. Because this is Putin's spider web and we're seeing it. We're seeing it. And people we love have gotten all tangled up in his web. So it is to them that we are called.
Mm.
That's what Roger Teal said to me when he prophesied over me. You're seeing all these people that are bounded and blind and imprisoned. It's to them that we're called. We're not supposed to be sitting here gossiping about them. Well, they're so terrible. We're so much better. That's not what we're doing.
Nobody's too far for salvation.
We love them and we don't want them to be in deception. And so what are we going to do to help them? Because we need to pull our base together before the midterms or it's all lost and it was all for nothing.
Yeah.
Trump won't be able to finish anything. They will stop him. They've already turned so many people on the conservative side in Congress. I mean, look at the mess. Massey's mess. Big mess, Massey. And he's over there with Marjorie Taylor Greene just having it up, man, because they made a lot of money.
They're on a cruise boat.
Yeah, they're over there in whatever Costa Rica.
But there's a big difference to what's happening.
I don't know anything about Massey. I would see Massey here and there. The only thing I knew about Massey was that when his wife died, it was weird.
Yeah.
And I remember being like, what do they mean they're not saying how she died? Like, why don't they just say how she died?
But there's a big difference.
And then I thought, well, maybe she committed suicide and maybe that's why not. But that wasn't it. And then next thing.
He's weird.
He keeps going on and about that. You see, a lot of these people are using the Epstein files as a tool for manipulation now.
Yeah.
And that's become a thing as well. And that's not to downplay the Epstein stuff. I'm just saying it's being used politically, as it would, of course, have been used politically. It is. And so, I never really cared about Massey. It's only that because of what's happened in the news lately, that he's become a part of this group that are turning on Trump right before the midterms. It's like, are you stupid? You want the Democrats to have this again? Like, can you not just hold back a little? You don't like the war. You don't like this, that. You don't like how Trump's handling this, that, or the next thing. He's gone in a couple of years. Let him do the job. Let him finish what he's trying to do. He's going to make mistakes. Trump is not going to get this all right. No human being can accomplish that. It's impossible. But at least Trump is doing the right things. And the thing is that with the Iran war, I don't want war. I don't want our soldiers' boots on the ground. But I know what my dad prophesied going all the way back to 1993 about Iran and the danger they are to us. Mm-hmm. And you get the Iranian regime, those Islamist lunatics, and join hands with the communist lunatics. And they want to take over the globe. And we're not worrying about that. Where are all the videos about the International Economic Forum? I mean, I spent years having World Economic Forum shoved down my throat. What about the International Economic Forum, which is a much greater danger, because those people get a hold of the globe and we are all descending into darkness. We'll never vote again. I mean, look at China, look at Russia, look at the Iranian regime and the suffering of the people of Iran who are imprisoned. You want to talk about bounded and blinded and imprisoned? The poor Iranian people who have not even been allowed to express themselves via internet for 88 days. And everybody's just gonna complain about it.
Yeah.
And I know that's not America first. It is if they're gonna nuke us. It is America first. If they can put a nuclear warhead on a missile that can travel 4,000 miles and they get down to Cuba, thank God Trump got a hold of Cuba. Thank God he got a hold of Venezuela. And understand how gravely in danger we actually were and couldn't see. But Trump knew. Mm. So I'm with Trump.
Well,
I'm with Trump.
they start with Israel, then they go to the little Satan, then the big Satan. That's
Well,
what
the
they
thing
call
is,
us.
and
But-
we know that. And the thing is, that, so what happens? The anti-Semitism, that's a demonic.
But then how come is it allowed? Right? Because here's the thing. This is the stupidity that I try and I get annoyed with. Because we so against everyone is like, what about Gaza, the genocide in Gaza? What about this? What about that? Well, let's look at the same thing. Well, what about the screaming from the river to the sea and wanting to wipe out all
hypocrisy.
the Jews? And everybody's like, "Oh, yes, that's
I said
fine.
that to someone the other day,
Yes,
buddy.
that's okay." But then when it's got to do with anyone else but the Jews, it's like, "No, you people are bad." Well, why is there a difference? Yes, the people might not like the government of Israel, but Israel's not the enemy.
Listen. There's been plenty of leadership in Israel that I have not liked.
Yes.
The reason that we know what we know is only because of what was prophesied, and thank God we have it.
Yes.
But I'm trying to keep up. with some
But
of
you know
these-
what? If I'm looking at this time with Trump than the first time, there's a big difference. Look at the amount
I don't
of
think has Roseanne turned on Israel? I don't think she has.
Roseanne Barr.
No.
No.
Roseanne hasn't turned on Israel at all.
No.
Maybe I'm not understanding the conversation. I think that's two people having a conversation. And
But there's a big difference.
Yeah, she's not. No. She has joked about it.
Yeah.
I've seen her post stuff on social media. where
She's had that
joking
prophet.
around,
What's his name? That
but
wrote
she's
those
making
books on them.
fun of the people who hate the Jews. She
Yeah.
is very supportive of Israel and the Jewish people. But for us, it's not even about that kind of thing. For us, we know what was prophesied. We know my dad kept going to Israel, then he's going to Ukraine. What are the two countries right now? I mean, that's prophetic, my friends, at a level and a depth that you're not just going to get from, God showed me this, that, or the next. It's very deep, this.
Yeah.
And true prophecy works like that. That's why I showed you Roger Teal. Because in 2019, none of that made sense to me. A little bit, the twisting my arm. I got that part. But really, none of it really had true meaning until later, until I started to experiencing the thing. He didn't tell me what was going to happen to me. He didn't say, you're going to do this and that and the next thing. He gave me specific highlights. None of which I wanted. The world's going to know your name. I never wanted that.
And the waiting was hard too.
I'm terrible at waiting. I'm always in a rush, and I'm always late.
I'm never early. I'm never late. I always arrive when I need to. But what I was trying to say earlier is things are very different now than we had in the first term of Trump. You see a lot of different things, but it doesn't mean sit on your hands and be like, "Oh, Trump's got this. Everything's to get out there." Change nations. I mean, look at California right now. I watched the mayor debate and the governor debate last night, even though that happened like 2 weeks ago. I'm telling you, there's a difference going on.
You know what? Someone's saying here, Kim is the only reason I feel sure about Israel and Putin.
Yeah.
Because
Us too.
otherwise, and that's exactly right. You are exactly right. I would also, and I'm Kim Clement's daughter, I would also be having a hard time because of how thick the deception has been.
Mhm.
But again, you must remember our enemies, and that doesn't mean the Iranian people, it means the regime. It doesn't mean the Russian people, it means those leaders that have power right now. They have joined hands. And you know what? China has not been as prevalent, but China is also part of it and our enemy. I know my dad saw some things where China would pull back when it comes to Iran and that there would be agreements made, but he still
For
was
a
very
season.
clear that China is not our friend. And so I just wanted to make that clear as well today. But I think we're done. for the
Well, I
day.
have one thing to say to everyone
Go ahead.
is that I got my test results back.
Oh, right.
And from the biopsy, and I have no cancer. God totally healed me. God healed me way before I even had the operation. So I said I wasn't even worried. Like I told my mom and that I said I'm not even worried about I'm not worried about the biopsy because I'm healed. I was more worried about the surgery. That was where my
And
fear
waking up
was.
without a leg.
Because the biopsy that I was
and
like,
took your
oh,
leg
God's
off."
healed me. They just have to get rid of it. And so the surgeon actually called me and he said to me, he's like, no, we found nothing. I'm like,
Great.
I wasn't like, oh my God, thank you. I was just like, oh,
Thank you, Jesus.
thank you.
Thank
Amen.
you, Lord Jesus.
Praise the Lord.
You know, I have some over here in the House of Destiny chat on the app. There's some very interesting insights here. I hadn't looked over there. I've got to get used to looking over at that one as well. But David is in the House of Destiny chat on the app. So for those of you who don't know, we are live on the app now. And you can download the House of Destiny app and just watch straight from there. Also, please make sure you like these broadcasts, subscribe if you're not subscribed, and share them. Please do that. I apparently have not said that enough, so I need to be saying that when we do this. But David says, all the weeds, as with some people, are connected at the root ball. Now, that's what I found in the ground, David. I found the root ball. And I pulled it up, and I was I'd never done it like that. I'd weeded a little bit in my life, but I'd never done anything like this. And I was like, wow. And David says a new root ball, so to speak. And Starlina says weed roots and spider webs look similar. The thin strands are connected with many other smaller strands we can't see. Exactly. Oh, this has been a great broadcast today.
It really
feel
has.
so much lighter now. I'm glad to be able to, share and get it off my chest. And if you guys want to watch that whole video of Roger Teal, also if you want to watch the whole Putin prophecies video, those you can watch on we have them on ours as well, but we have so much programming on this network here that it's easier just to share that link. So that's my YouTube channel. So you can subscribe to my YouTube channel too. I don't post on there as often, but I do post stuff that I end up using, and I like to share just flat out straight. This is what he prophesied. No commentary, no seeing anything. So I do a lot of that. So I've done the Putin prophecies. I did the Iran prophecies. You'll see that there on my channel. Do follow me. It's at the bottom of the screen there. Just my name, Donna Clement Petrushka. You'll see a picture of my dad is the profile picture, and it's my dad like holding up his mantle from a distance. So you'll notice that. And my most recent video is the Iran prophecies, and many of the Iran prophecies are also in the Putin prophecies video because they cross over so much. So I encourage you to go and watch that, as well as February 22nd, 2014. That's also on my YouTube channel. I think it's called Supreme Court. But Lou, why don't you take all three of those links and put them in the description? They will not be in the description until after this live ends. And then the way it works on when we do these live is that the live ends and then it uploads the broadcast. So when that has happened, so just come back here later on and look in the description of this video, and you will find links to all three of those.
It's only 2 links.
No, I said February 22nd, 2014 as well. I'm going to send that. You don't have it emailed. I brought that up earlier. So let me actually, so I don't forget, go straight to that video now on my channel. It is an older video. I posted this many years ago now. And that one, a lot of people have seen it. A lot of you have already seen this, but it never hurts to go back and look again. I mean, you saw just today. That was my prophecy that I've watched how many times, but it's still, because it's truly prophetic, you will find prophetic truths. See, that's You Know Nothing. There's, the full interview. You got that one. I'm just going to keep scrolling here. Here we go. Kim Clement Prophecy, Supreme Court. And Lou, I will share that link with you right now. That way, you guys can go watch the whole. Just when you have time, if you're interested, go have a look at all of those videos. It's called Supreme Court Drain the Swamp. And that date, my dad saw so much more about than the Supreme Court and draining. He saw so much. He saw the impeachments. It's incredible what he saw. And not everything he saw has come to pass yet either. He saw a timeline. He saw a future president still to come after Trump. But we'll deal with that when we come to it. Right now, we've got to get through this. We've got to get through the midterms. Very important, so that Trump can finish the job. And we need to be very aware of the deception that we're in. I think everybody is pretty aware of that. And just be very careful. Just guard yourself. But also understand that it is to them that we are called. So we have to be able to not sit around and talk about it, but actually, when the doors open, take those opportunities and try to find a way to reach people who are bound and imprisoned and blind and deceived. And that, we understand that it's principalities and powers, not flesh and blood, that we're fighting against. And so the goal is not to take down people. The goal is to restore, help. We can't do it, but we can help to restore and help people to see. And the thing that the Mark Twain quote is, I'm not going to quote it exactly, but he said, it's a lot easier to fool people than to convince them that they've been fooled. And this is where we find ourselves now. And I am one of those people. I've been fooled by all kinds of things. But as long as we're honest and open about it, we come and say, you know what, I was wrong about that. Amy Coney Barrett is not the Esther. I was in a rush. What did you just see prophesied over me? And even though I knew that was prophesied over me, I was still rushing. Rushing, not Russian. Okay, guys, it's been a lovely day. I hope you're all doing all right, and I hope you have a good week. We're very grateful that Bali is healed and doing well.
Amen.
And has a testimony. And I am going to go home now because I'm having mulch delivered. From
And,
Home Depot.
congratulations to
mulch
Matt.
is not expensive. It's like $2 a bag.
Yeah.
They're big, huge bags of mulch. I thought, you see big, huge bags of mulch. You think that's going to cost a fortune. It was $2 a bag.
And Matt graduated.
Matt graduated, but we're going to cover that on Wednesday with the partners. We could play it.
I've just got one little video that we can play.
Yeah, why don't let's play it.
I got two of them. Yeah.
My brother Matt.
Matthew Young Clements. Rose Clifton. Tyson Maddox Cobb. Michaela Grace Conley. Juliet Elizabeth Cooper. Caroline Kinsey Covington.
Wow, that was, my mom and dad adopted him. He was, how old was he? 6. He was the oldest of the children. My parents adopted 5 special needs children from China when they still had the one-child law in China. And a lot of, especially special needs children, especially girls, but even boys, were abandoned because they were only allowed one child. Now that's lifted now, so that's not an issue anymore. But that's how I ended up with 5 Chinese brothers and sisters. And Matt is the first to graduate high school. So we're very proud of Matt. And I know my dad is in heaven very proud of him. And you guys see how long his hair is.
And he's going to college.
Yes, he's going to college.
Grown up. So many of you who remember that, you remember when my parents adopted Matt, when he was going through all those surgeries and my mom and dad were in the hospital and dad used to sleep. He had 2 single beds in the room and Matt was on one and dad used to sleep on the other just to make sure he could breathe, that he was okay. That was a crazy time. And so Matt has graduated and we're very proud. So congratulations to my brother, Matt Young, for graduating high school. Well done.
Shame.
Okay, I think that's it. Don't miss anything we have going on at the House of Destiny Network this week. We've got Prophetic Rewind tomorrow. Tuesday night, we have our prayer meeting, Gathering of the Dangerous Prayer, live right here at 7 p.m. Central. Wednesday, we have analysis. Christy and I, actually, I don't know what we're going to do. Last week was really good because we actually went into some prophetic teaching and did like a watch party. And I think that's a really important thing for us to be doing right now, is not just focusing on what dad prophesied, like what are the things he prophesied. That's good. But we also need to understand the prophetic so that as an army of prophetic warriors, we know how to combat what the enemy is doing
Mm.
in this moment. It is a crucial moment. We're coming up to those midterms in November. We cannot lose the midterms. So don't let all the mess distract you.
And tomorrow's prophetic rewind, it's a very special one because, as you know, we're going by date and year order and whatever comes up. And here's another prophetic moment, which I found amazing. It's the first of the month, and we're doing communion. And
Oh, right.
Kim is talking about communion and the importance of communion. And it's not, don't think, oh, I'm not going to watch it, because there is so much in there. And there's prophetic moments in there you don't want to miss. So don't miss Prophetic Rewind tomorrow. Scan the QR code. It'll take you to our website, and then you can watch it there. You can watch it on YouTube or anywhere that you find our videos. But it's a very powerful. So get your emblems ready so that you can take communion with in time with Kim and out of time. And it's going to be a very powerful moment. And believe God for a miracle in your family, in your life, while watching this and doing this amazing communion moment.
Oh, cool. Yes, the communion one. Okay, so that'll be tomorrow.
That's tomorrow.
Yes. So
And then the week after that is when your dad first put on the mantle.
are you talking about April 2009?
Yeah. That one where he prophesied.
Oh,
and he
we've
pushed
watched
it
that here on this show a couple years back.
I think
and
it's next
wept
week or the
whole
week
time.
after. It's either next week
I've
or
watched it since then. I weep every time.
yeah. It's
He
next.
prophesied so much, though. He prophesied about Putin there too. He prophesied about North Korea and how he saw a united Korea.
Yeah. So that's
That
about
was
in
a
a
really
week.
good-
It's either next week or the week after. But I'll
Oh,
remind
I'm so
everybody.
excited.
Yeah. So there's a good build up. There's a good build up.
Yes.
This month's going to be good.
It's a good month, you guys. It's a good month. I'm going to go now and cultivate my garden. But thank you for joining me today, and to everybody. And Lou, thank you too. And we will see you here next week.
Hello, friends. I'm Donna Clement Petrushka, and I am honored to invite you to something truly extraordinary, the Kim Clement Prophecy Vault. Now you can gain unprecedented access to my father's entire digitized video archive. Every prophetic moment, every powerful teaching, every anointed worship session is now available to you in the Prophecy Vault. We've also enhanced the prophecy database, meticulously updating it with new video content and profound insights. Plus, I'm excited to share that my dad's special School of the Prophets teachings are included, offering you deep, transformative lessons on hearing God's voice and understanding his revelations. As part of your membership, you'll also gain access to my prophecy blog, where I break down and analyze my father's prophecies, connecting them to current events. This blog will provide you with exclusive insights and a deeper understanding of how God's word is unfolding right now. And we're offering something truly special: exclusive analysis sessions available only to members of the Prophecy Vault. These sessions will go beyond the surface, providing in-depth exploration of specific prophecies and their implications for today and the future. Your partnership is crucial. Not only will you gain access to these incredible resources, but you'll also help us continue the vital work of preserving, digitizing, and adding new Kim Clement material to the archives. So, I'm inviting you to step into the Kim Clement Prophecy Vault. Let's embark on this journey of revelation together, and I can't wait to see you inside.